The Nile River, a ribbon of life cutting through the arid deserts of northeastern Africa, nurtured one of the world's earliest civilizations. It provided fertile land for agriculture, a waterway for transportation, and a source of water for drinking and irrigation. For the ancient Egyptians, the Nile wasn't just a river, it was the source of their livelihood, their transportation network, and the very foundation of their existence. Around 6000 BC, early settlers began to congregate along the banks of the Nile. They formed small agricultural communities that would eventually blossom into the great civilization of ancient Egypt. These early Egyptians developed innovative irrigation techniques, harnessing the annual floods of the Nile to water their crops and cultivate the fertile soil. The annual floods, predictable and life-giving, dictated the agricultural cycle and influenced every aspect of Egyptian society. The Nile not only provided sustenance but also facilitated trade and communication. Before the rise of the pharaohs and the grandeur of the pyramids, Egypt was divided. Two kingdoms, Upper Egypt in the south and Lower Egypt in the north, existed as separate entities, each with its own ruler and cultural identity. The unification of these two lands, a pivotal event in Egyptian history, is attributed to a ruler named Narmer. Around 3100 BC, Narmer, the king of Upper Egypt, embarked on a campaign to conquer the north. His victory over the king of Lower Egypt marked the beginning of the early dynastic period and the birth of a unified Egypt. This unification, depicted on the iconic Narmer palette, laid the foundation for the development of a powerful and enduring civilization. Narmer established Memphis as the capital of the newly unified kingdom, strategically located at the nexus of Upper and Lower Egypt. The unification under Narmer marked a turning point in Egyptian history, ushering in an era of stability, prosperity, and cultural achievement. The history of ancient Egypt is often divided into three major periods: the Old Kingdom, the Middle Kingdom, and the New Kingdom. The Old Kingdom, around 2686 to 2181 BC, often referred to as the Age of the Pyramids, was a time of unprecedented prosperity and architectural achievement. It was during this period that the iconic pyramids of Giza were constructed, enduring testaments to the power and ingenuity of the ancient Egyptians. The pharaohs wielded absolute power, and their rule was characterized by centralized authority and a focus on monumental architecture. The Middle Kingdom, roughly 2055 to 1650 BC, was a time of renewed stability and expansion after a period of political fragmentation. The New Kingdom, from around 1550 to 1069 BC, often hailed as the Golden Age of ancient Egypt, was a period of unprecedented imperial expansion and military might. Powerful pharaohs like Thutmose III and Ramesses II led successful campaigns expanding Egypt's borders and establishing it as a dominant power in the ancient Near East. At the helm of this magnificent civilization stood the pharaohs, considered to be both kings and living gods. Their word was law, their power absolute, and their legacy etched in stone. Hatshepsut, one of the few female pharaohs, ruled Egypt for over 2 decades. She is renowned for her ambitious building projects, including her magnificent mortuary temple at Deir el-Bahri, and her successful trade expeditions to the land of Punt. Thutmose III, Hatshepsut's stepson and successor, is considered one of Egypt's greatest military strategists. He led numerous successful campaigns into Nubia and the Levant, expanding Egypt's borders and consolidating its control over vital trade routes. Ramesses II, often regarded as the most powerful and celebrated pharaoh of the New Kingdom, ruled for over 6 decades. He is known for his ambitious building projects, including the Ramesseum, his massive mortuary temple, and the temples of Abu Simbel. The pyramids of Egypt, colossal structures of stone rising from the desert sands, stand as enduring symbols of ancient Egyptian civilization. These architectural marvels, built as tombs for the pharaohs, are a testament to the ingenuity, engineering prowess, and organizational skills of the ancient Egyptians. The construction of a pyramid was a massive undertaking, requiring the labor of thousands of skilled artisans, laborers, and engineers. The process began with quarrying massive blocks of stone, primarily limestone, which were then transported to the construction site. These blocks were painstakingly shaped and fitted together using copper tools and wooden levers, without the use of mortar. The interior of a pyramid was just as intricate as its exterior. A network of chambers and passageways, often adorned with hieroglyphics and intricate carvings, led to the burial chamber of the pharaoh. The pyramids were not merely tombs, they were also powerful symbols of the pharaoh's authority and their connection to the gods. Section 6. The Hyksos, Interlude of the Foreign Kings. The serenity of the Middle Kingdom was shattered by the arrival of the Hyksos, a foreign people from Western Asia who invaded and conquered Egypt around 1650 BC. The Hyksos, whose name means rulers of foreign lands, established their own dynasty in Egypt, marking a period of foreign rule that would last for over a century. They introduced new technologies, including the horse-drawn chariot and the composite bow, which revolutionized warfare in the ancient Near East. However, the Hyksos rule was not unchallenged. A series of native Egyptian rulers known as the 17th dynasty rose up in opposition to the Hyksos. These rulers, based in Thebes, gradually chipped away at Hyksos control, eventually leading to their expulsion from Egypt around 1550 BC. The Hyksos period, though relatively brief, had a lasting impact on Egypt, exposing the Egyptians to new ideas and technologies. Section 7. Under foreign rule, Persians, Macedonians, and Ptolemies. The new kingdom, despite its grandeur and military might, eventually succumbed to internal strife and external pressures. Egypt's decline paved the way for a succession of foreign powers, each leaving their mark on the land of the pharaohs. The Persian Empire, under the leadership of Cambyses II, conquered Egypt in 525 BC, marking the beginning of the late period. In 332 BC, Alexander the Great, the Macedonian king who conquered much of the known world, marched into Egypt. He was welcomed as a liberator, freeing Egypt from Persian rule. After Alexander's death in 323 BC, his vast empire was divided among his generals. Ptolemy I Soter, one of Alexander's most trusted generals, established himself as ruler of Egypt, founding the Ptolemaic dynasty. Section 8. The last pharaoh Cleopatra and Roman Egypt. The Ptolemaic dynasty, though successful in maintaining its grip on power for centuries, eventually succumbed to internal strife and the growing might of Rome. The last pharaoh of ancient Egypt, Cleopatra VII, ascended the throne in 51 BC, inheriting a kingdom weakened by internal conflicts and external pressures. Cleopatra, a shrewd politician and a skilled diplomat, sought to preserve her kingdom's independence by forging alliances with powerful Roman generals, most notably Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. Her relationships with these Roman leaders, though politically motivated, were also marked by genuine affection and respect. Cleopatra's alliance with Mark Antony, however, proved to be her undoing. The Roman forces decisively defeated the combined Egyptian and Roman armies at the Battle of Actium in 31 BC. With Cleopatra's death, the Ptolemaic dynasty came to an end, and Egypt was annexed by Rome, becoming a province of the Roman Empire. Section 9. From Ancient to Modern Islamic Conquest to Independence. The Roman annexation of Egypt marked the end of its ancient civilization, but it was not the end of its story. In the 7th century AD, Egypt was conquered by the rapidly expanding Islamic Empire. The Arabs, led by Amr ibn al-As, defeated the Byzantine forces that controlled Egypt, incorporating it into the Islamic world. The Islamic conquest had a profound impact on Egypt, leading to the Arabization of its language and the spread of Islam among its population. Over the centuries, Egypt was ruled by a succession of Islamic dynasties, including the Umayyads, the Abbasids, the Fatimids, and the Mamluks. During this period, Egypt flourished as a center of Islamic learning, culture, and trade. Cairo, established as the capital by the Fatimids, became a bustling metropolis and a major intellectual hub in the Islamic world. In 1517, Egypt was conquered by the Ottoman Empire, a powerful Islamic state centered in present-day Turkey. The Ottomans ruled Egypt for nearly 4 centuries, integrating it into their vast empire. The 20th century witnessed Egypt's struggle for independence, culminating in its independence in 1953.